Welcome back to Scene Feed. Today, we're looking at The Signal, a sci-fi thriller that starts as a road trip, turns into a horror movie, and ends as something else entirely. Think The Twilight Zone meets The Matrix, but with a healthy dose of what the fuck? So, let's follow The Signal. We meet our main characters, Nick, a moody computer genius with a degenerative nerve disease, his best friend Jonah, another moody computer genius but without the nerve disease, and Haley, Nick's girlfriend, who is definitely not going to be kidnapped later. The three of them are on a cross-country road trip, but instead of enjoying the sights, they're busy tracking down a mysterious hacker named Nomad, who's been messing with them online. Nomad hacked into the MIT servers, and our motley crew here were blamed. So to restore their honor, they intend to expose Nomad. After checking into a cheap motel for the night, things start getting weird. Jonah wakes up to a text from Nomad. Not willing to lose at the game they are playing, Nick wakes Jonah up and they start to trace where it came from. While working on their laptops, Jonah and Nick realize that someone has hijacked their computer cameras. Nomad is watching them. The hacker even takes control of the screen, but instead of taking this as a sign to stop digging into the mysterious hacker, they double down, because that always works out well. After a montage of stock hacking footage, they found where it came from. Because nothing bad ever happens from chasing down hackers in the middle of nowhere, they drive deep into Nevada, following cryptic coordinates that Nomad has left behind. These coordinates lead them to an abandoned shack in the middle of absolute nowhere. Naturally, instead of turning around and forgetting any of this ever happened, they decide to go inside. Because curiosity never killed anyone, right? The inside of the shack is just as unsettling as you'd expect. No lights, old furniture, strange computer equipment, and of course a basement. Nick and Jonah start investigating, but Jonah, being the prankster of the group, decides this is the perfect time to mess with Nick. He sits in a corner with his back to Nick, unmoving. As Nick goes to make sure he is okay, he springs forward to scare Nick. Jonah reminds him of the basement. With no sense of self-preservation, the two descend. As they are downstairs investigating, Haley screams from outside. The boys rush out to find the car open and the radio going crazy. But no Haley. As they continue to search, they find her staring at something in the distance, her expression frozen in terror. Before they can even ask what's wrong, she's violently yanked into the air by an unseen force. Nick and Jonah barely have time to react before they are hit by an overwhelming energy wave. The world around them distorts, their vision blurs, and then blackout. Nick wakes up in a sterile underground facility where a man in a hazmat suit starts asking him questions. His name is Dr. Wallace Damon, but he speaks in a tone that suggests he knows more than he's saying. Because he does. Nick quickly realizes things are off. He can't feel his legs, Haley is in a coma, and Jonah is missing. Also, the facility's logo is just 3 black lines, which is never a good sign. Damon tells Nick that he came in contact with the signal, an alien frequency that messes with human biology. But instead of answering questions, Damon just stares at him like he's watching a very slow-loading webpage. He wheels in the same TV used in public school and plays the tape of them at the house before they blacked out. He pauses the video on a tree in the distance, in which you can see a faint face of something non-human. He explains he made contact with an EBE, an extraterrestrial biological entity. Say that 10 times fast. After a series of cryptic interviews and increasing frustration, Nick decides he's had enough. He plans his escape. Using crackers, tubing, and a piece of paper, our little MacGyver here gets to work. He wheels himself down a hallway, Haley in tow. After many near misses that most certainly got someone fired, Nick and Haley are at the final obstacle. Unfortunately for them, before Nick can input the code, he is stopped by Dr. Damon and taken back. Some more time passes and Haley is now awake. Dr. Damon, true to his promise, brings Nick to her. As they are transferring him, Tweedledee and Tweedledum drop him, and he realizes why he couldn't feel his legs. They have been replaced with Robo New Balances. With his newfound strength, Nick grabs Haley and escapes by pulling a Sanji and kicking down everything in his path. Finally outside, they take off into the desert. As they look for somewhere to hide, they end up running into Jonah, who has also been experimented on. They're in some kind of test facility. Jonah tells him it's Area 51 because the tattoos on their arms add up to 51. The trio eventually reaches a heavily guarded checkpoint. They try and pull a 3 kids stacked in a trench coat maneuver, but it fails. They raise the barrier, stranding the truck. After getting blown up and shot a lot, Jonah, realizing that their pursuers will never stop, makes the ultimate sacrifice. He tells Nick and Haley to run while he stays behind to hold off the guards. Using his newly discovered abilities, Jonah unleashes a devastating blast of energy, buying his friends enough time to escape. Devastated but determined, Nick and Haley speed through the empty desert. But just when they think they've gotten away, Dr. Damon appears before them, deploying a spike strip, causing the truck to crash violently. Dazed and injured, Nick regains consciousness just in time to see the agents pulling Haley from the wreckage. He tries to reach her, but he's too late. She's taken away again, disappearing into the horizon on a helicopter. Fueled by rage and desperation, Nick pulls a Goku and charges up by screaming. With no other options, he sprints down the bridge, breaking the sound barrier. Suddenly, Nick collides with something invisible and the illusion shatters. He sees that this has just been a dome with projections containing them this entire time. Looking back, he sees Dr. Damon walking menacingly at him. It dawns on him Damon was Nomad backwards. Dr. Damon pulls off his suit helmet, revealing he himself is something otherworldly, a blend of machine and man. Nick turns around and sees what's really happening. They were never on Earth. They've been inside an alien construct this whole time, floating in space. The facility was just a part of a giant spaceship. Nick stands stunned as the camera zooms out, revealing a massive alien city beyond the barrier. So, what did we learn? 1. Never chase internet hackers into the desert. 2. If you wake up in a government lab, assume you're an experiment. And 3. Lawrence Fishburne might be an extraterrestrial. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Take care, like and subscribe, and until next time, stay curious.